everybody, and welcome to another episode of Right Here, Right Now, presented by Forefathers Organics. I'm your host, Alex Brasky, alongside my co-host, Ajay Cybulski, here for the Batavia Daily and Livingston County News. Each week, we'll discuss Buffalo's favorite football team, along with all the comings and goings from Orchard Park, thanks to our friends at Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, AJ, a 33-6 drubbing at the hands of the Bears. The Bills did not look good one bit, not really in any phase of the game here this afternoon at Highmark Stadium. But then again, it is the preseason, and I guess we'll start off with this question. How concerned should Bills fans be with the performance put forth by their team today in Orchard Park? And I think I'm kind of towing the line on this, kind of half and half. There certainly were some concerning aspects about today's performance, but as I said before, today's the preseason, and this is the time to work out those kinks, and there's so much transition on this team, and Bills playing the starters today for a reason. Although they did not look very good, still 2 preseason games left. From Josh Allen's comments after the game, it seems like the starters may get another opportunity next week in Pittsburgh, including that joint practice with the Steelers. So plenty of work left to be done. How concerned are you with the Bills' performance here on Saturday?
Yeah, quick shout out before USA Basketball wins gold. Steph Curry does Steph Curry things and leads the USA Basketball to gold. So just wanted to throw that in there before I give my thoughts on this Bills-Bears preseason game. I think Josh Allen, has a point about it, saying, he mentioned that it's just a preseason, it's just game one. The Bears already have played a game, so they've, some of those players, especially on the depth part, where you really saw the Bears pull away was when both teams' depth charts, like deep in the depth charts, were out there playing against each other. I think you saw the Bears kind of pull away, and that was the unit that was mostly out there against the Texans in the Hall of Fame game last week. So the Bears do have some, they had a game in hand already on the Bills. I'm not too concerned now. I will say, you play these exhibition games, or growing up, you play games, and when you lose like that, like if you're playing a one-on-one game with your buddy and you lose 11-0, like, yeah, sure, it doesn't matter, right? You move on from it, but you might hear some jokes about it. But I think with the Bills, I didn't care. Obviously, I don't think really anybody cares if they truly win the game, but I think it's a matter of how you look. And Sean McDermott was very adamant after the game. We didn't hold ourselves to the standard of playing for the Buffalo Bills. We have a lot to learn, a lot to work on. So I think overall, all in all, it's a preseason game. You got to look at it as that. It doesn't matter. The starters were out there for a quarter. It was pretty vanilla offensively, like we discussed on our preview show on Friday. So I'm not too concerned about it. But again, I think the way they looked is a little concerning, and just how they were kind of deflated down the stretch. They didn't really seem to have much fight back or much energy throughout the game. Not many splash plays from either side of the ball. Still some good mixed in there, but overall just a disappointing, start to a preseason for a team that's under a transitional phase with a lot of new faces and new coordinators. But again, I'm not too concerned at this point.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a good point there. Really didn't seem to have the spark, did the Bills, throughout the game today. And that's been something that a lot of people have questioned throughout this offseason, where that spark is going to come from this season. You lose the elephant in the room and Stephon Diggs, a lot of other veteran leaders. Where is that spark throughout the course of a game when you need it going to come from? And I just don't think the Bills could find one today. But let's preface everything by remaining a little bit conservative with our criticism. This is the preseason after all. Let's start off with a positive takeaway from an overall dreadful performance from the Bills. No Von Miller and no Matt Milano in this game. They did dress. It appeared initially as if they were set to play, but they came out onto the field with the rest of the team in sneakers and hats, did not have their helmets, and did not participate in the game. But the positive takeaway, no new injuries for the Bills during this game. There was a brief injury scare at the beginning with Ed Oliver going down. He was later cleared to return with a knee injury. But that's certainly a good sign. You want to come out of these games healthy. And that was something that Sean McDermott mentioned off the top during his post-game press availability. When you put the starters out there, there's going to be a lot of speculation whether or not that's the right move, and people are waiting to pounce with their criticism if things do go wrong. And on the very first play, Ed Oliver goes down, leaves everyone holding their breath. But all in all, a successful outing injury-wise, and the Bills get out unscathed.
Yeah, that's obviously the best sign and the most positive sign about this game is everyone's healthy. Ed Oliver with the injury scare there literally plays one snap, goes down with an injury, doesn't see the field again. I think maybe he just wanted to get out of there. Just kidding. But I think, you play one snap on the defensive side of the ball. And, you saw after the first series, a couple stars on the defensive side of the ball. Taron Johnson, Terrell Bernard was already out of the game after one drive. So they were already taking some guys out. It really was only one full defensive series with the first team unit. And then the offense had the 1.5 drives with Josh Allen. And then a lot of the starters still remain in the field because I think Sean McDermott saw Josh Allen scamper on a 7-yard carry in a preseason game on 3rd and 6. It was like, hey, man, look, I'm happy. I'm happy you slid, you protected yourself, but it's preseason. We don't want you out here running, trying to pick up first downs like you so normally do. So maybe that can bring us to the next point of the running game, and maybe we can get into that. So, yeah, overall, I'm happy that they're a healthy team moving forward after this game, and that's obviously the biggest positive from this Bills-Bears matinee.
Yeah, there were several Bills who missed the entirety of Saturday's contest due to injury, including wide receiver Matt Collins, wide receiver Chase Claypool, wide receiver Justin Shorter, safety Mike Edwards, safety Cole Bishop, running back Ty Johnson, linebacker Edifano Ulofoshio, linebacker Nicholas Moreau, offensive lineman Travis Clayton, edge rusher Casey Toohill, and defensive tackle Daquan Jones. The offensive line today, AJ, a major concern. 8 sacks, an additional 11 quarterback hurries provided by the Bears' defensive front. It was really a problem throughout the day, and it's been another talking point throughout the offseason. The Bills transitioning up front. They let Mitch Morse go. You have Connor McGovern shifting over to center, David Edwards at left guard, and a lot of new depth pieces trying to work their way in. And, boy, they struggled mightily throughout this game.
Yeah, I think the communication with the second unit for me was the most concerning because that's a group that I think's been working with each other a while. You go back to that play when you asked me about what truly happened with that sack on Trubisky, I think it was maybe in the second quarter when there was kind of a miscommunication with the center and the snap count, and then they snapped the ball, and then Will Clapp's sitting there frozen, and Lyle Collins is sitting there frozen, and they're not moving, and the ball's already in Trubisky's hands. The 2 edge rushers on Chicago had a free run at Trubisky, brought him down for a sack. Shane Buechele, it seemed after that interception, was just running around like a guy with
a little shell-shocked after that interception.
Yeah, like a chicken with his head cut off, just kind of running around back there and really unsure what he was doing. But I think overall he hung in there and tried his best. But in terms of the first team O-line, I think it's hard because Connor McGovern said it after the game that there's no game planning going into this, so they don't know what stunts they're running. I'm not saying that's an excuse because the Bears were still by far the better team today, first team through third team. Every unit I think outplayed the Bills in this game. But you look at the Bills offensive line that I think had troubles last year in the preseason, and I think that with the amount of veterans on that offensive line, they will respond. And I think another conversation to be had is the Bears know that Josh Allen is not going to be running the football. And Josh Allen is a huge part of the Bills' running game. So if you're really trying to implement, if the ball's going to hand out to James Cook, the Bears know it's going to go to James Cook. Allen's not going to keep it or use his legs as a threat. So I think that's another aspect to this is Josh Allen's ability as a runner on this offense is so important to what they want to do in the run game that knowing when you're going up against the Bills and that they're not going to do that with Josh Allen, I think that gives the defense a huge advantage. And I think that's what you really saw and how the Bears really controlled the line of scrimmage today.
Yeah, and along with the pass protection issues, didn't create much room for Ray Davis and the other running backs to run. James Cook, a couple of carries early on as well. Davis finished with 2 yards on 5 carries. It seemed like it was a great opportunity for him to shine. Ty Johnson out for this game. Davis trying to work his way and solidify that running back 2 role, but just not much from him today in the running game. And maybe you can chalk that up to lack of production up front on the offensive line. I thought he did look good with a couple of receptions. I think he was upward of 20 yards receiving, but not a lot to write home about from Davis today. I think we'll see plenty more of him as the preseason goes along. However, this won't be the last we see of him.
Yeah, I think the Bills' offensive line coach Aaron Kromer is going to probably lay into those guys in that second team unit because I think a big reason, I mean, any running back, Ray Davis did not have 5 carries for 2 yards because he has an inability to run the football, right? Like there's definitely, and that goes for across the NFL. Runners really are made because of their offensive line. Now there's extreme scenarios like a Christian McCaffrey that, the generational guys, but a lot of running backs, if they have the proper blocking in front of them and guys that they can trust, they're going to have good games because these running backs can really come in bunches nowadays in the NFL. So I think with Ray Davis, it's a learning experience. I really do like what I saw from him in the passing game. He understood where to be. He was a safety valve for Trubisky on a couple times. He made a great catch on the boundary when Trubisky was in trouble, getting both feet in. Made another catch underneath in the middle of the field, breaking a tackle, getting upfield for like a 13-yard gain. So I think with Ray Davis, what you saw in the pass catching game really gave me confidence as to what he could be as this running back too, and a compliment to James Cook. And along with his physicality, just his ability to put his head down, finish runs. Although he was not, like you said, 2 yards on 5 carries, he wasn't getting the yardage in the run game. I still think he was showing a bit of physicality and maybe what he could potentially be in this Bills offense. So all in all, underwhelming that Davis could not get it going on the ground today. But I think with his pass catching prowess and as more reps come along, and if Aaron Kromer kind of chews the offensive line in the film room this week, maybe we can see more production from Davis in the next 2 preseason games.
Another rookie who saw his first NFL game action this afternoon at Highmark Stadium, Keon Coleman, came away with his first catch as an NFL wide receiver, 8 yards for a first down on a nice comeback route. I got roasted pretty heavily on Twitter for my take on the catch, relating it to the criticism of Keon Coleman and his lack of separation at the college level. Upon further review of the play, maybe it was zone coverage and maybe that wasn't the greatest example. But hey, it's preseason for all of us, AJ, and sometimes we don't diagnose things correctly on the fly. I want everyone to lay off.
Yeah, I liked what I saw from Keon, understanding where to be in the zone. Obviously, the linebacker came over, made a play on the ball, but it was too late. Coleman was able to turn upfield, get a little extra yardage. So, yeah, I liked what I saw. Great separation from Keon on that play.
Great.
Yeah. So, and then, I think the red zone struggles, and this is what I go back to with him, is we've seen the athleticism and we've seen the ability to go up and get the ball in 50-50 situations. You've seen it all throughout training camp, all the videos posted to the Bills Twitter and all that stuff. But it still does. There's still a lot that he needs to work on to become a complete receiver in this league. And I think those 2 red zone reps against a really good corner in Jalen Johnson, who's by no means, I mean, that's a great test for a rookie to go up against him. I think that he struggled a little bit. You saw him not get separation. Whether maybe there was some illegal contact on one of the 2 plays or whatever.
And that's what I saw. I saw a little hold along the back line of the end zone, and maybe the feet get tangled on the other one. But at the same time, your point is well taken.
Right, and that's the NFL. Like there's guys that are going to get away with that. Like I thought Cam Lewis's rap on Remo Odunze was great, right? But that illegal contact in the middle of the field when he was kind of at the stem of his route kind of disrupted Odunze's route pattern, and they called the illegal contact. I still thought Lewis made a great play on the good ball and almost intercepted it. So it's kind of really ticky-tacky with these refs. But again, I think Coleman, there needs to be some more nuance to his route running still. He needs to become a complete receiver in this league. Still high on him. Still think he could be a very important contributor. And I'm glad to see that they're kind of emphasizing him. Joe Brady is early on in the red zone, trying to get him those reps, especially in the preseason. So he's ready to go week 1. So we'll see what he can do moving forward in the red zone, and if he can continue to develop as that kind of complete boundary receiver the Bills need.
Yeah, the Bills opened the game with a 12 personnel look. Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox on the field, and also Coleman and Shakir along the outside. I'm sure you'll see plenty of that formation throughout the course of the season. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel also mixing in on 3 wide receiver sets. And he had a nice play, a nice 15-yard gain on a screen pass to the right side. And that shows you what Curtis Samuel can do. Just get him the ball in space, and you can use him almost as a yard after the catch guy, which is what the Bills have been in search of for the past several years. And it was only 1 play. Didn't see a whole lot of action today, but Curtis Samuel showing what he can do in this Joe Brady offense. Along with Khalil Shakir, he was the most productive of the bunch, hauling in 3 receptions, 28 yards, proving to be that reliable target that Josh Allen can count on. there was a lot left to be desired from this offense, but I think you saw shades of what it can be under Joe Brady's tutelage and with these new weapons at Josh Allen's disposal.
Yeah, like I said in my preview, I think we'll see, right, some trends, like you mentioned, kind of some hints at what the Bills will be offensively. I thought some of that shined through today. And Bruce Nolan had a great tweet. I think a lot of people know who Bruce Exclusive is. If you don't, check out his podcast. He's great. He tweeted, Khalil Shakir is exactly one step faster than you think he is. And that really, kind of exactly how I feel about Khalil Shakir, right? Like, when he gets the ball, he kind of uses leverage, makes the defensive back, and it puts the defensive back in an uncomfortable position, and then utilizes that kind of sneaky speed to get upfield. I mean, he was a perfect safety valve for Mitch Trubisky over the middle of the field, got upfield, and kind of showed that kind of, again, sneaky speed to get upfield for the 19-yard gain. Curtis Samuel, like you mentioned, you saw that burst on the quick screen. I think he has a really good understanding, Alex, and you've seen this, that he has worked with the running backs at camp. He has a good understanding of setting up the run, right? Like he was quick, kind of put his hand on the back of an offensive lineman and kind of let the offensive lineman, feel it out, give him some gaps, which one to hit. And he made a good play out of it. So two good signs from those two guys, because I think with Joe Brady's passing attack this year, it's going to be a lot of underneath, let's go get it, put defenses in uncomfortable spots, don't make Josh Allen work too hard, and then hit you with an over-the-top shot, keep you honest. So I think you're seeing a little bit of that already, and I think with Shakir and Samuel, there's something that could be special brewing with those two guys.
Dalton Kincaid, just one reception for 7 yards. Allen finished 2 of 3 passing for 22 yards. Another wide receiver working to solidify his role on this team. Marquez Valdez Scantling, another drop today on a short pass to the right side. He's had a rough training camp, started slow, has mixed in some drops, seemed to be coming on as of late, but if he continues to mix in these drops, I don't know how you can count on him if you're the Bills. He's clearly outside of that top 3 with Coleman, Shakir, and Samuel. So maybe not relying on him that heavily within this offense, but at the same time, if you're going to rely on him at all, these drops certainly starting to stack up and be more and more concerning.
Correct. And experience only matters so much when you're making, I think, and like, he's been inconsistent, but he's been consistently dropping the ball. Like, he's been an inconsistent player at camp, but he's been consistently dropping the ball, and that is an issue. I mean, it looked like what happened is he felt the pressure from the linebacker behind him, kind of stabbed at it with his hands, and then tried to turn upfield too quick, and the ball landed in front of him, kind of turned before he had total control of the ball. Maybe a little bit of uncertainty with what was behind him, didn't want to take too hard of a hit, but that's a
kind of a carbon copy of his drops throughout training camp.
And that's just a catch you have to make, right? Like a 5-yard hitch route underneath. You just got that makes like a 1st and 10 to 2nd and 5. Instead of 2nd and 10, you're sitting to 2nd and 5, and that opens the playbook for Joe Brady and what he wants to do. So I think with MVS, it's hard because I know we talked about it, Alex. Like, is he a lock because of the experience and what he's done? Can you get him back on the practice squad? Probably not, because of his name. So how are the Bills going to weigh that out with the contract and the experience versus what he's shown? If you're going off what he's shown, I mean, I would even give Terrell Shavers a leg up on MVS right now, and maybe even a KJ Hamler. I know he was very inconsistent today, but overall, if you look at throughout camp, based on the style of play these players are putting out there, I think MVS has just struggled. But he's also had some good moments. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see how he's utilized, where he's put. Is he with the second team? Is he with the first team? Depending on the starters play against Pittsburgh and so on and so forth. So we'll see what happens.
And you mentioned Hamler, inconsistent in the return game today. Nearly botched a kick return, fumbled it away, was able to chase it down and manage somewhat of a return. Later, he did redeem himself somewhat on a punt return using his elusiveness down the right sideline. Nice 15-yard return for him. So some good, some bad from Hamler in the return game. Daquan Hardy was out there. He got the second opportunity. He struggled to track down high-arching punt. It was a bit windy out here at Highmark Stadium, and Sean McDermott commented on that after the game, said some of the new returners that are new to playing at Highmark Stadium kind of got a taste for the weather. It was a beautiful day out here, as you can see behind me. There was sun, really not many clouds, but the wind was whipping, and I really think that made things tough on the return men. So I think that battle remains ongoing. I don't think anything has to be decided there. Hamler and Hardy, I think the two that the team are looking at for that return job.
Yeah, no one really has the edge to me, and you saw a Bears player later in the game also muff a kickoff. So like you said, I think the wind was definitely a factor. I don't know if we'll get to Sam Martin, but he was another one that drilled two 60+ yard punts and then had two punts around 30 yards. So there's obviously some inconsistency with his punting today, and maybe a concern moving forward. But yeah, for the punt returners, I agree with you, Alex. I don't think there was really any player, whether it be Hardy. I mean, maybe an Isabella because he was there in kick return. Darrington Evans got a rep there as well, and KJ Hamler. I don't really see anyone that pulled away, but I definitely think you could say that Hamler and Hardy are the leaders in terms of who will win those battles, and we'll see what happens. Hamler inconsistent. I like the 15-yard punt return, like you mentioned, showed elusiveness on the sideline, got upfield, so it was a good play from him. And then Hardy, you didn't really see much of. So we'll see moving forward how that shapes out and how the Bills value that position.
Quick break to thank our friends at Forefathers Organics. At Forefathers Organics, their mission is to liberate, educate, and innovate with the highest quality CBD and hemp-derived products for your mind, body, and soul so you can live happy and free. Visit them at 87 Franklin Street in Dansville, online at forefathersorganics.com, or call them at 585-335-2223 to learn more about the products they offer. And our loyal listener, John Robert, bringing us to our next point. We'll stay on the special teams track. You mentioned Sam Martin, hit or miss today, really shanked a 35-yard punt off the left side of his foot, but bombed his first one 62 yards inside the 5-yard line, another 60-yarder from Martin. And then Tyler Bass made both of his field goal attempts, one from 24 yards, the other from 49 yards, with that wind whipping inside Highmark Stadium. So Bass able to pass the test in his first game action of the season. Didn't get one from over 50, but that make from 49 looked good. And with the win, certainly a very impressive day for him.
Yeah, that's kind of what Sean McDermott opened with. He mentioned, like, obviously the big point of staying healthy. I'm talking about his post presser after the game, but he also mentioned that they were able to get Bass out there for 2 field goals, and he executed them and put him through the upright. So that was another positive sign of the day. But yeah, I mean, Sam Martin, a 29-yard punt and a 34-yard punt paired with 2 60+ yarders. I mean, the win was definitely a factor, but you just need more consistency there. And I don't think the 34-yard punt was really due to the wind. I think, like you said, I think he kind of shanked it and it went off as part of the foot wrong. So that's obviously something that needs to be worked on. And who knows, maybe I know we went to that scenario and I asked you, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe right before camp about maybe the Bills bringing in a punter because, Jack Browning now released. So now maybe they have more questions and answers after this game with Sam Martin and what he can be. I don't know how they feel with him in terms of as a punter and as a holder. So we'll see if the Bills make any moves. Maybe keep your eye out for maybe a punter acquisition in the next few weeks, but I'm not expecting it. I think that's a low chance, but I still think there is some concern with Sam Martin moving forward.
Now, how about the defensive side of the ball? Now, you let up 33 points, and you're not really excited often when that happens about the defensive effort, but I thought there were some good moments from certain players on the Bills roster and some poor moments that we'll get to as well. Immediately to begin the game, Greg Rousseau showing what he's shown all training camp long, just dominant on that first drive. I think he had a run stop and a sack, if I'm not mistaken, or if it wasn't a sack, it was a pressure. I remember writing it down in my notebook. I can't remember what it was exactly, but great first series for Greg Rousseau. Thought he burst out of the gate. And after Ed Oliver went down to see Rousseau really show his dominance, I thought that was a great sign.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift had a lane there in that gap on the edge on that first carry, and Rousseau exploded off the block, was able to detach himself. Probably not the proper term. Like film junkies probably think, what the heck is this guy talking about? But detached himself from the block and corralled the defender, DeAndre Swift, for like a 3-4 yard gain. So I thought that was a really nice start for Rousseau, and that's kind of what he's been good at. So it's good to see that he's still taking that part of his game seriously, although he's still trying to work as a pass rusher. The run defending is still a solid thing. So like what I saw from Rousseau, and that was a good play to start the game and kind of set the tone for the defense on that first drive, and obviously held them to a field goal. So that was also good. Bend don't break mentality, baby.
Another player who came up with a big run stop that you tweeted about, left a good impression on you, Rasul Douglas. Talk about that play that he made early in the game.
Yeah, I just felt like Rasul Douglas knew exactly where to be, filled the proper run gap. Defensive line kind of went to the left, kind of causing the running back Khalil Herbert to cut back to the left, and Douglas was right there. Right, took him down, made the sure-handed tackle, a loss of 3, forced a field goal. That's a huge play for Rasul. I think a 3rd and 1 in the red zone. Those are usually, offense has a lot of success there, especially in the red zone, inside the red zone, when you can use those jumbo packages to get extra yardage or push the pile for even 2 yards. That's all you need. But good play by Rasul, good awareness, good to be there. And he also had 2 tackles earlier on the drive. So 3 tackles for Rasul, 1 for a loss. And I thought he just, made some plays. And again, he's been a solid acquisition ever since he's come over from Green Bay halfway through the 2023 season.
And what it was from Rousseau was he got that stop on DeAndre Swift. That was the same play. Oliver was hurt. And then the very next play, he forced a holding call with good pressure off the edge. So that's what it was from Rousseau. A player on defense that I thought did not put his best foot forward when given an opportunity. Kendall Williamson was out there with the second-team defense at safety. We all know the revolving door there with the 2 injuries to Cole Bishop and Mike Edwards. Kendall Williamson getting an opportunity out there with Cam Lewis. And Williamson let Cole Kmet, the Bears tight end, streak across the field for a 20-yard gain early in the first quarter. And then later, just a completely incomprehensible, unnecessary roughness call. The ball was thrown incomplete, went over the wide receiver, and Kendall Williamson, for some reason, came up and hit the wide receiver anyhow, and that warranted the flag. I think he took a step back in this game, and with those 2 free agent veterans, Terrell Burgess and Kareem Jackson, kind of waiting in the wings, I think that next preseason game we might see somebody else with that second team.
Yeah, Williamson struggled. I'm glad DeAndre Carter's okay. Came over from LA, signed with Chicago, had some success in LA. So good to see him back out there. He left abruptly, but was back in the game. And yeah, that was a clear dirty hit. And it's tough because you feel for Williamson in a way because he's fighting for a roster spot. He has a great opportunity. He probably wants to show coach like, hey, I'm going to finish the play. But it was just obviously a dirty hit, unnecessary, and shouldn't have happened. Overall, nothing too much, I feel like, from the safeties in this game. I felt like Caleb Williams obviously had a really good start in his NFL debut. I thought he threw the ball really well. And the Bills' defensive backs were really unable to make any good plays on the ball and be those ball hawks, besides the notable one, Cam Lewis, that he was flagged for illegal touching. So I think there is some concern with the safety room to this point. And when you have a guy in Kendall Williamson that they're putting on the second team right now, I know Bishop and Edwards are out, and hopefully that will shore up the safety room in a way when they return. But what you have with Williamson today, I just didn't see too much I liked.
Anything else we're forgetting, AJ? I think we've covered pretty much everything, although the John Perry effect showing itself today. Sean McDermott, 2 successful challenges, and spoke on John Perry's involvement after the game. Said John's involved. It's good to have him. Also mentioned a few others that help him on the sideline. Says he has a lot of help, but it was good to see that addition of the officiating liaison perhaps bear fruit immediately to start the preseason.
Yeah, John Perry, what an addition. Definitely pushing him to make the 53-man roster. For
MVP of week 1 of the preseason, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the bright spot of this game. When you win 2 challenges, and that second one too, like that was not an obvious one. No one saw it on replay. Andrew Catalan, Steve Tasker, who did a great job today, sideline reporter Matty Glab. Catalan and Tasker didn't realize it either until after you really slow it down and look at it. So Perry probably had a keen eye on that reception. And it was pivotal because it forced the Bears to punt and give the ball back to the Bills offense. So all in all, John Perry, a job well done. He's not only a ref, he can help Sean McDermott out too and make him look good. So good for John Perry.
Anything else, AJ? Anything you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to tell the people before we get on out of here on right now, live Buffalo Football Talk?
I think, well, first of all, I think the tight end 3 battle isn't as serious maybe as we thought. I thought Quentin Morris was open up the seam twice today. Mitch Trubisky just missed him. Mitch Trubisky was, although had his moments, I thought he was pretty bad today.
Him and Buechele, pretty poor.
Yeah, so both the second and third string quarterbacks. But I mean, what do you expect? They're playing behind a a second team O-line that I thought was just, again, really bad, and third team struggled as well. So I think Quentin Morris would have had more opportunity today if the quarterback delivered the ball. I thought he might have had a touchdown, another reception up the seam. And you really didn't see much from the training camp darling, Zach Davidson. I really thought he was underutilized. He was targeted once deep down the left side, overthrown, wasn't really open. So
that was going to be another question. Do you think they were hiding him with all the talk about him during the preseason? Maybe they're trying to sneak him back onto the practice squad. I think that could have factored into the non-usage today. You don't want to throw him out there during the preseason, have him become a preseason superstar, and then have him get poached off the waiver wire.
Sure, that might be a factor, of course. And again, I think Quentin Morris, just with his special teams ability and what he's brought consistently to that room, I really don't see Zach Davidson, making that team. I'm not saying that nothing can change from, now till the cut down day, but I think with what we saw from Davidson today and the lack of usage and lack of targets, it's kind of to temper the expectations, because I'm not expecting too much from Davidson, especially with that, even if he gets any opportunity with the first or second team.
All right, that's going to do it. We're going to get on out of here from Highmark Stadium. AJ back home did a great job providing live updates for today's game. Not many exciting updates to be provided, but did a great job. Nonetheless, we'll probably be back on Monday with another episode to move forward into this preseason and see how things shake out on the Bills roster over the next several weeks. Before we get out of here, a word from our friends at Forefathers Organics.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, AJ, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time.
Peace out.